Hello everyone, this is revmichellehopkins. The plot thickens. I want to share a few things with you today that I find very interesting. As we all know, recently there has been very intense clash between a militarized police force in Anaheim, California, and the public there because of a shooting that was a police-involved shooting there recently. Now, I want to show you something that's going on with Anaheim as far as Haarp is concerned, or HTA or TTA. Haarp type array spiking is going on, and more than just one type, directed specifically at Anaheim, California. You can see right here we have a very long, very pointed, directed spike at Anaheim, and then we have a circular fan of spikes. There are different kinds of spikes. I would say that these spikings are EHF, extremely high frequency spiking, which often is used in Psyops in the military to aggravate a populace. It causes all kinds of neurological issues with an entire populace at which it is directed. So I just wanted you to be mindful of that. With this directed spiking there, that could be weather related. It seems to be bringing up moisture in the air, but I don't think it's there to cause inclement weather. I believe it is there to cause earthquake. So if I was going to predict something as far as earthquake was concerned for Anaheim, they may be in for a few earthquakes tonight, tomorrow, over the next week or so. Also, there's going to be more agitation there tonight, tomorrow, probably over the next days or weeks if this Psyops high frequency continues. I would not even be surprised if Anaheim heard booms and other strange noises tonight as a result of the kind of spiking that's going on there. I want to show you another place in California. I looked at several different hot spots for earthquakes for California. As you can see here, the ones we centered on were over here, but if you come down here, there are even more earthquakes in Southern California. Before I get to that, what it looks like down there, where in California they are. There's the biggest cluster of them southwest of the Salton Sea. Now I want to draw attention to the different kinds of spikes going on in Southern California and the neighboring nation states. We have a directed spike here, we have a directed spike here, we have a circle of spikes directed here fanning out into California. Now this has been here for quite some time. Occasionally we have other different types of spikes, but this is the area, and the fan used to be out in this area. In the last week or so it's moved over into the next state somewhat, but this is the area where we have seen the largest conglomeration of earthquakes. Go in southwest. So let's zero in southeast of the Salton Sea and see what we find. What is this? What is this? This is an oil refinery. You know, that's very interesting. It occurs to me that Russia just before the Olympics, acquired British Petroleum. Now, if I was an enemy of the United States, and I had a way of harming the United States, and I wanted to corner the market on oil, if I had the technological capability and was evil enough to do it, one of the things I might attack would be their oil reserves, oil refineries, oil companies. Given that I'm now a new oil baron, if I wanted to corner the market, I might do that. Causing our oil refineries to go offline would cause a great deal of harm. It would also make us more reliant on other people's oil, given the fact that they are allies with Islam. They would be more than happy to sell us more oil of theirs at a higher price. There's something else that I wanted to show you. Yesterday, we talked about the other place where there were clusters of earthquakes in California. Okay. The other place that I showed you where the other earthquake cluster was centered was this place here. And I said, what is this? There are silos here. I showed you the silos. Here are the silos. There are also tanks. And as I did more of a study of the land, I noticed there were oil pumps. This is an oil company. These are pumps that are pumping oil out of the ground and storing it in these tanks. This is the other earthquake cluster, the epicenter of the other earthquake cluster. So both earthquake clusters are centered right over American oil companies, one of which is a refinery, one of which is pumping it out of the ground. It could be one and the same company, I don't know. An interesting thing also is today we had a hurricane go through Louisiana. It's over quite a number of oil derricks as it went on. Now, I don't know if that was man-made or man-accelerated. I don't know. But it's something to consider. There's something else I want to show you is going on. Something is going on in St. Croix. You've seen all the earthquakes in California. Now look at all the earthquakes in this little tiny island of St. Croix. Hundreds upon hundreds of earthquakes on this little tiny island right here in St. Croix. Little tiny island right here. Now what could possibly be so interesting on that little tiny island right here in St. Croix? Well, let's look and find out. There's a port here, a seaport, but it's not just any kind of seaport. This is an oil port. These are tankers taking up and leaving off oil. Look at all these tanks to be filled and emptied of oil. This is a major, major oil port. Now, here again, if I owned British Petroleum and I wanted to corner the market and I hated America, I could go after their oil and become a monopoly, or join with the Islamic nations, OPEC, and monopolize the oil, keep America from producing and using her own oil, refining her own oil and gas. That would be a way to cripple our economy and make us more dependent on my oil, if I were in such a mind to do so. Very interesting. Knowing that the TTA and the HTA network is normally complicit globally under the auspices of the UN and NATO. It might or might not be one specific nation doing it. It might be under the dictates of the UN itself that our oil is being attacked. It's very possible that it could be one of the many steps in our U.S. economic debacle that we're being told is about to take place. The scripture says in Revelation 6, starting with verse 5, "When the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, 'Come.' I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures say, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages. And do not damage the oil and the wine." You know, I believe we have already come through the first and the second seal. I believe they have been opened. I believe the first seal and the second seal are operating right now. The 2 horsemen, number 1 and number 2 of the apocalypse, are riding around this earth right now. I truly believe that. And if you read what's in them, you'll understand why I say that. I believe the third seal of Revelation is about to be opened. Many places in this world are already experiencing famine. They're already experiencing this, but here in America, we're going to begin to experience this, I believe, very, very soon. I believe if it has not already opened, the third seal is about to open. And it's interesting that it says, "And do not damage the oil and the wine." It really looks like somebody is going to have to be told, stop it. Don't damage the oil. And before long, we're going to hear about the wine. Don't damage the oil and the wine.